Nice weather again today, although it is getting cold, which is usually what happens when it's sunny during these times anyways. And what did I read today? This was kind of interesting at first. Imagine trying to smuggle, I guess, drones through an airport, and it makes me wonder how in this case when there's so much. It says here, drones worth about 66K tried to be smuggled into Moldova. Employees of the Customs Service of Moldova have stopped an attempt to import into the country a batch of 17 drones worth about 66K. Azure News reports citing Moldovan media. The case was registered by employees of the customs post of the Chisinau International Airport during the inspection of the luggage of a 58-year-old foreign citizen who arrived on a flight Vienna-Chisinau. After passing through customs control with the use of special technical means, one of the passengers, who initially chose the green corridor, assuming that the person has nothing to declare, was redirected to a detailed physical control. As a result of the check, 17 drones, including thermal imaging drones, were found in the man's suitcase, presumably from the category of goods subject to strategic control, the CU said. That's what I'm wondering, 17 drones? Ones that are equipped with thermal cameras and stuff? These must be pretty humongous with the packaging and stuff. How do you expect to get that by? It says the officers of the Office of the Criminal Investigations of the CU are investigating the case. That's one of the things too. Just in general, when you go to different places, the drone regulations are so different everywhere, so you have to read up on it. But again, it makes me wonder, how does someone think they could get away with this? Like pretending, I don't know, that you're trying to carry this in your carry-on luggage or something like that with 17 drones. It just doesn't sound believable in some ways, huh? And then this was kind of interesting too. As you know, there's war around the world, and it seems like here, it's a general hobbyist skill that's becoming useful for various countries. This one says, civilians taking part in Ukraine's plan to produce 1 million FPV drones. Civilians in Ukraine are helping in the production of 1 million drones of a type called FPV, or first-person view, to be used for the battle against Russia. FPV drones are widely in demand on the battlefield as they enable their operators to check aerial footage in real time as if they were the pilot really flying the aircraft. The drone's small size and cheaper cost are also among its key features. Support for achieving the production goal is rising among civilians in Ukraine. Efforts include assembling the drones by themselves and sending them to the military. One civilian living in the capital of Kyiv said he has been learning to assemble and operate the drone for about half a year while working as a game developer. He said he wants to have the skills because they are helpful when he will serve in the military. Wow, I've mentioned so many points that I talked about before, where here it's basic, I guess, recreational hobbyist skills that are in use, I guess you could say. And at the same time, a person, I guess, as a game developer with a gaming background, because I often said with modern day drones anyways, the way they fly, the way you control it, it is like playing a video game. So is this one of those things too, where I always say, people like here anyways, they fear monger it and so forth. You don't have any younger generation of people that would be able to do this because of over-the-top regulations and so forth. What would happen afterwards? You'd have nobody with that skill set, correct? It says, in Kyiv, civilian engineers and others hold training for soldiers to operate drones. Ukraine last year launched a plan to boost output levels of FPV drones. President Volodymyr Zelensky said late last month that to keep ahead of Russia in the quality of drone operations is one of his country's main tasks. Russia's defense ministry said on Saturday its force carried out 37 drone attacks over the past week on Ukrainian targets, including military facilities and fuel storage sites. It's kind of like that other point too, which I mentioned. There's a lot of people who would fear monger a person flying a drone. They're doing nothing wrong, even if it's for fun. But I guess when it comes to saving the person's life in some way, then they're okay with it, huh? But is it too late during that time? Because you have all these fake gurus, lobbyists and so forth trying to discourage a recreational person from flying it, making it sound so over the top when in reality it's a skill, for example, that can be learned pretty easily, I would say, as long as you put in the time, just like anything actually that I would argue, like playing a video game. And in terms of assembling stuff, isn't that something people even do, for example, just for fun? As a kid, you learn to put things together, you experiment with it. Why not encourage that instead of fear-mongering it, right? And it makes me wonder, when you see people do this, what do you do? For example, do you call them out on it, or do you let these, for example, again, fake gurus and lobbyists continue with this fear-mongering so that they can profit from it? And in terms of the fear of drones, actually, this is kind of funny to think about. People often talk about things like drones spying on you or Chinese-made drones, for example, which is the fear in some places. How about this one? This one says, Pigeon detained for 8 months on espionage suspicions, finally released. It doesn't sound real in some ways, but I guess it is. It says here, police in India released a suspected Chinese spy pigeon Friday after holding the bird in detention for 8 months. The bird was captured in May near a port in Mumbai with 2 rings inscribed with the words that appeared to be Chinese attached to his legs. Police detained the possible winged mole before sending it to Mumbai's Sarkabai Dinshaw Petite Hospital for animals to be medically examined and investigated further. The hospital would ask law enforcement officials if they could release the pigeon months later as the bird was healthy, taking up a cage in their facilities, and due to the police having taken no further action or investigation against the alleged avian secret agent. I mean, I heard about this in the past where people use pigeons as message carriers and all that, but this is kind of crazy to think about with all the stuff that you hear, I guess, modern day concerns with drones again and stuff like that. This is after officials initially refused, the animals' rights group People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals India branch contacted the police and furnished the necessary paperwork to secure the bird's release. It was transferred to the Bombay Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, whose medical staff released it Tuesday. Eventually, it turned out the pigeon was an open water racing bird from Taiwan that had escaped and made its way to India. Okay, it's just kind of fascinating to think about in this case, huh? It makes me wonder too, in terms of, let's just say, taxes and money, how much money and resources was spent in trying to investigate this in general. Kind of crazy. All right, see you guys later.